Thank you, Ray. Hello and welcome to Headliners, your first look at Thursday's newspapers with three comedians. I'm Leo Kirst, and tonight I'm joined by the People's Gammon, Paul Cox, and a man who only eats gammon. It's Lewis Schaefer. How are you both doing?
Great. It's great to see Lewis.
It's great to see you, Paul.
Most awkward stuff to a show we've ever had, and that is really saying something. Anyway, let's have a look at Thursday's front pages. The Times leads with England worst in world for underage drinking. The Telegraph has Starmer refuses to match Prime Minister's defence budget. The Guardian leads with Labour pledges to nationalise rail network in 5 years. The Metro leads with Prime Minister, we fly in July, talking about the Rwanda flights there. The iNews has revealed Labour's plan to nationalise railways. And finally, the Daily Star has greasy fry-ups will turn us into zombies. And those were your front pages. And let's have a closer look at those front pages, starting with The Guardian, Lewis.
Yes, Labour pledges to nationalise rail network within 5 years. This is in The Guardian. And I guess I don't know how this is news because it hasn't happened yet. I guess it's news because they're saying...
They're saying it's going to happen within 5 years.
Within 5 years, like the same way we're going to get, people shipped to Rwanda.
But do you think it's a good idea to nationalise the rail network?
It is a good idea, and one of the major complaints is no internet. This is what they're complaining. This is what this woman...
Is that seriously one of the major complaints?
It says it right here. It says...
Just tether to your phone. I mean,
yeah.
Not that I'm somebody to give out, internet advice, Paul.
No, but I use the Portsmouth to London Waterloo line quite a lot.
Yeah.
Which is not going to help now, is it? People are going to attack me.
Yeah.
Don't. But the signal is terrible, so it doesn't matter if you tether to your phone anyway. I think, look, all that aside, I don't think
why don't you just download enough internet to last you for the journey?
Yes, but some of the things I want to download are not for the train, mate. So what I would say is, getting back to the story, is that all things have been tried, haven't they now? We may as well nationalise. I think this is probably a good pledge from Labour. It fits in with their unionist values, but we essentially, as the public, are propping up the railways anyway, wouldn't you say?
Although, I mean, people make this argument that, the rail networks and, in particular, water companies, I mean, it's not a free market because the only way you can choose a new, water provider is to move house, which is an impractical way of, changing your water provider. And, similarly with rail networks, I mean, they're on rails. They're literally on rails.
Well, that's the interesting point, is that you have one train company per train line going in one direction. Why not have two? Why not say, we'll give one train, at the top of the hour, the other train at
Just a complete free-for-all. What could possibly go wrong?
It works that way with flying across the world.
Yeah.
You got different planes going in different...
It would just be good to have one person to blame rather than 16 different operators to blame.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's an easy job to run the railways in this country. Yeah. They're at the same standard they were in 1860, which is when they were at their peak.
Yeah.
And it's a $1 zillion project, isn't it? You'd have to revamp the whole thing to get it up to any standard to be matched anywhere else in Europe and across the world. I mean, imagine, you look at Japan and places like that, the bullet train and all that sort of stuff. We're a zillion years away from that. So I just, bring it in-house, why not?
Well, I don't know. I'm just a bit wary of creating a communist state. That's just, I've read some history books. Anyway, moving on. What have the Telegraph got in the front cover, Paul?
Starmer refuses to match PM's defence budget. Now, the angle here is primarily from Johnny Mercer, which is the veteran minister, and he's saying Labour again are refusing to back our plan to spend 2.5% of GDP on defence. So the Conservatives are now setting out their stall, and this actually from the Conservatives' perspective in the run-up to the general election is quite a strong point. They haven't got any others, to be fair. This is their strong point. However, to be fair to Starmer, and, don't like to do that too often, but there's going to be a defence spending review. There always is every 4 years or whatever it is, and there's going to be one probably within his first term. Also, he's never seen the books. We know that's an old adage of his, but he hasn't, so what's he going to commit to? What the Tories are doing, and spinning this quite deliciously, is they're saying, well, look, there's so much going on in the world, we're saying we're going to support that. You're not going to commit to anything.
Yeah.
I think he'll have to. I mean, we were discussing earlier how he started wandering around the streets of Britain with St George's cross on his back, pretending to be as British as the rest of us.
Keir Starmer is the one man who can walk around London with a St George's cross on and not get beaten to the ground by the police.
Exactly. Get lifted above. Yeah. I'm told he can just run around on top of statues.
And Lewis, I mean, it's an improvement from the days of Corbyn, when, never mind the defence budget, you know, Corbyn was basically like, we'll give the defence budget to Russia, and they can walk in. We welcome the tanks into the UK.
Well, I think that was one of his policies.
Corbyn was successful, while Corbyn was the shadow leader, whatever.
Successful? I mean, that's
whatever.
That's an interesting word to use.
My
You're going to have to, Lewis. You're going to have to.
Is that he was successful because there were no attacks by Russia on Britain during the.
It's a good point, Leo. It's a good point. He was, I don't know what his defence plan was. I think it was just like knitted socks for all or something, wasn't it? I don't know what it was. That was my biggest problem with Corbyn. Now, a lot of people have a lot of problems with Corbyn. My biggest problem with Corbyn was his. I'm from Portsmouth. I understand the Navy and how important it is to us as a country,
or to Portsmouth as a place.
Absolutely, to Portsmouth as a place. But you know, again, what I said. But he never really understood it.
Yeah.
He never really understood it. And this is where people like Penny Mordaunt, who's the North Portsmouth MP, do understand these things.
Yeah.
And it will go in Tories' favour. However, we don't know what Labour are going to do. They're going to have to pledge something. But what they do know, one of the reasons that they're not going to pledge, is that in order to increase, you've got to take away from the civil service.
Yeah.
And they're not going to commit to any of that at the moment, because you know they're going to come in fresh and they're not going to want to do that.
Yeah, OK, well, let's move on and have a look at the Times. What have they got in the front cover, Lewis?
The Times have the horses. The horses. It looks like an ad for that. What is that? Lloyd's. What is the one? The one with the woman in the black.
Scottish Widows.
Scottish Widows. Is that the one with the horse?
I think Lloyd's has got the horse, the black horse.
Yeah,
the black horse. Yeah.
But this is, I mean, it's quite a striking image. It's a black horse, and there's a white horse covered in blood. I assume it's the horse's blood and not the blood of Englishmen.
Well, they said that there were four horses were spooked, and the riders were. How did they say it? They didn't say thrown to the ground, the rock hard ground. They were just
dismounted.
Dismounted, yeah, which can be painful.
It can be very painful. So that's good news there, I guess. Anyway, England worst in the world for underage drinking. A third of 11-year-olds have had alcohol, as study says middle classes normalize harmful habits.
But I looked into this, and actually, British youths are the best at drinking. We're drinking.
This is the point, isn't it? This is a good news story. We're top of the league here. Yeah. Good news. Our teenagers can outdrink anyone in Europe and the world. So look. It's not all bad news, is it?
No.
Come on, the Times. What are you talking about? England worst for underage drinking. England the best for underage drinking. And how on earth are we beating Scotland? This is what Scotland, you know, they feed their babies buckfast, as you know. So I can't understand how we've managed to top this league. This is a blooming good story, Leo.
You see, you're glad the children's livers are getting toughened up for later in life.
I mean, it's saying we're normalising harmful habits, but everything we do... I mean, we've been normalising harmful mental health habits since the beginning of the world. This is how you get over it.
Well, I can explain why drinking isn't so popular in Scotland. It's because of the minimum unit alcohol pricing, which makes alcohol one of the more expensive ways to get fully twisted off your gourd in Glasgow. So, you know, the Scottish young people turn to street barbiturates and horrible drugs like that to dull the pain of living in Scotland instead.
The last time I said that children in Scotland took smack, I got about 6 weeks of abuse from people in Scotland. Just one bloke, really. So I'm not going to say that tonight. Yeah. Because I didn't mean it then either, you din.
Well, fortunately, it was just on Twitter. So, I mean, I should imagine if you paraded down, Stocking Hall Street with your St George cross in your back, shouting the same word.
I wouldn't be here to sell the tale, mate.
Lewis, you got anything to say?
I don't, you know.
Okay. Well, finally, what's in the front cover of the Daily Star, Paul? Let's squeeze that one in.
Just days after warning the full English breakfast is dying out, another cheery food boffin says greasy fry-ups will turn us into zombies. Really? Well, here we go. Eating highly processed food like fry-ups is creating a nation of insomniac zombies because it's just full of all the nasty stuff that Lewis always talks about.
Yeah, Lewis, you've been saying this for years. And now the boffins on the Daily Star are agreeing with you.
No, No, I don't. I don't say this because what is in a fry-up? Fry-up is all meat. It's all animal fats, and it's actually good for your sleep.
There's baked beans. That's not a meat.
No, that's bad. That's bad. But you could. I always.
Well, they're mushrooms.
But when I go to my favorite restaurant, Wetherspoons, I just ask for extra eggs. So this is wrong. Luckily, they never give you. We never get a chance to read the story completely.
They never give us the paper, do they?
They never give us the paper. I actually believe that the Daily Star is an imaginary newspaper.
Do you believe that eating fry-ups is turning us into zombies?
No, I don't think so. In this country, people were very hardworking back in the day, and they had more fry-ups back then. They didn't.
Yeah, I feel like you used to put more effort into your work back in the day. Anyway, that's the front page is done. Coming up, we've got weapons for Ukraine, a TikTok ban, and a charity defends people smugglers. See you in a couple of minutes.
Farage, Monday to Thursday from 7 p.m.
It has been truly the most extraordinary day in Brussels. Now, for me, this is nothing. In my last years here, I was barred from coffee bars, barred from restaurants, even barred from a pub I've been using for 20 years. But today, they brought that cancel culture, they brought that intolerance onto the world stage. And yet, when we come to the British Labour Party, this is what Jonathan Ashworth had to say earlier on today.
I think some of the speakers, from what I understand, who have been advertised on the website for this conference, have very unsavoury views. I'm rather surprised that Suella Braverman's been allowed to go and speak at this event.
And just to prove what the new Labour government will be like, he was backed up by rising star of the Labour movement, Wes Streeting.
And of course a source close to the right honourable member for Fareham, who couldn't be here today with us, Mr Deputy Speaker, because she's currently in Brussels surrounded by the police who are trying to shut down the event she's attended with some far-right fanatics with whom she has much in common.
Even the Prime Minister of Belgium, which is not a country I've always had great relations with, said what happened at the Claridge, the name of the club today, is unacceptable. Let me tell you something. If at any point in the last 4 years I'd ever for one moment doubted Brexit, or at least doubted how it had been conducted by a Conservative government, what I saw today in Brussels absolutely confirmed to me that leaving this monstrous union, with its deep intolerance, with its refusal to accept that anybody else can have an alternative point of view, today proved to me that Brexit absolutely was the right thing to do.
I think the most exciting bit for me is talking to people.
People who I think are ignored often by the major news channels. We're going to give news they want to hear. There's a voice there that needs to be heard. I think there's a chance here for a diversity of opinion to be expressed, which you don't find elsewhere. It's really exciting.
We don't hold back. We're free to say how decisions that are taken here
affect us all around the country. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'd much rather hear what you have to say. So, send in your opinions to gbviews@gbnews.com. Keep them clean, and you never know, I might read them out. With my panel here on Jubes & Co, we debate, we get stuck into the issues of the day on a show where all views are welcome, especially yours. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners. I'm Leo Kearse. I joined the worst tag team in WWF history, Lewis Schaefer and Paul Cox. And kicking off things in this section with Thursday's Times and some bad news for Vladimir Putin as America finally sends more weapons to help Ukraine, Lewis.
Yes, that's good news. Or good news, it's the end of the world. Let's send money and kill people. This is Joe Biden says $95 billion. That's a little bit less than 95 billion pounds aid bill for allies will make the world safer. Yeah, that's right. Just bomb the hell out of people.
Yeah, but this is air defence and stuff like that, which actually is going to make Ukraine safer.
You know
and
what?
Also resisting any sort of strongman like Putin sends a message to other people like Xi Jinping in China that if you invade Taiwan, if you go and bully smaller countries, then the world will unite for about 6 months and then get tired, and then you can finish the job.
Here is the thing. Here's the thing, Leo. You're so wrong. You're defending the Ukrainians. The truth is that Russia is completely destroyed. If you look at Russia, they got no access. They got no waterways anymore. They got no waterways. They got no access to the water. All their ports, one's in St. Petersburg, the other one down in Crimea, whatever they are.
Crimea River.
Yeah, they don't. These Russians, I feel for them.
Well, so they can't go fishing. I mean, what's the problem with that? Maybe if they wanted access to the sea, Paul, they shouldn't have started a war with another country.
I mean, I'm curious to know, in all seriousness, what a victory for the Ukraine looks like now. Because I think you believe you understand what that is. I assume you believe that it's all ground that's been stolen to be given back. But we're at a point now where this is 95 billion, and I kind of understand. I've always been in support of the Ukraine. However, I kind of understand why people, particularly in the States, are getting quite tired now, because all they really see is the headlines. Leo, you know the stuff, right? Yeah. You're immersed in it, you understand the value of it. If you're step back from this slightly, all you really see is endless billions going towards...
All right, well, they're not actually getting the money. So Ukraine doesn't get sent the money. It gets sent basically mothballed kit that's just sitting in the desert doing nothing. So you've got all these Bradleys, all these, all this kit that, is good, and a lot of ammunition, artillery shells that's expiring, so it can't be used anyway. So instead of paying to decommission it and bury it somewhere, they're sending it to Ukraine to be, fired at Russian aggressors.
So are they inflating the value?
And the other thing, just to put these sums into perspective, so the $95 billion, I mean, it sounds like a huge amount of money. That's not just for Ukraine, that's also for Taiwan and Israel and other places. And to put that into perspective, I mean, we're talking about sort of 5% of the US military budget. They're spending, every year 5% of the US military budget to completely humiliate and destroy and wear down their greatest geopolitical foe. So it's incredible value for money without risking a single American life. And also the amount of money we invest and spend on net zero. Europe has pledged €1 trillion to net zero, which is just an absolute nonsense. It's not going to... We don't have net zero. I mean, climate change might be happening.
Leo,
it's not going to come and shoot us and rape our wives.
Leo, this doesn't... Don't laugh at him. Leo, this doesn't mean it's money well spent. It's like they're saying, $91 billion here, $91 billion there. After a while, you're talking about real money.
Yeah.
This is real money. Maybe it is true. The fact is, what the Democrats are doing is that Democrats are the party of war. I hate to say it, but
when Trump was in power, Trump funded Ukraine. Trump was the first American president to send munitions in a large, after Crimea fell.
Yeah.
Trump was a staunch supporter of Ukraine, and he's only flipped because it suits him politically.
No, that's not why he's flipped.
Yes, it is.
He has flipped. I don't even know why he's flipped. I just said that.
So you're so contrarian. You just got to say no.
No, you know what? I'm having another bad show.
Oh, you're not having a bad show. Come on, mate.
Here's what I'm thinking. The Democrats, World War I was a Democratic president. World War II was a Democratic president.
So what does that show you? Democrats can win wars.
They can
great guys.
They can win wars. They haven't won war since the 1940s.
You just named 2 wars they won.
Korea was Democrats. Vietnam was Democrats. Iraq wasn't, but...
OK, and Afghanistan. Anyway, more times now, and the clock is ticking for TikTok, Paul.
It is. US will ban TikTok unless Chinese owners sells up. So TikTok has about 170 million American users, fueling data and national security concerns. And look, this has been something that's rumbled along for a while, and that's 170 million American users. There are plenty of millions in the UK and Europe and beyond. And if we take out the danger for a moment, I always find this quite fascinating, a fascinating juxtaposition, because at no time in history has it been so easy to infiltrate popular youth culture in particular. So TikTok is this wonderful, addictive social media app for those who don't use it. Very short videos, giving you the information you want quickly, bright colours, naked women, whatever you want. And it's kind of unfettered by by the West, really, in many respects. They don't have the same TikTok in China, and that's the issue.
Yeah, so this social media in China, they're equivalent. If you open it, you're a Chinese 14-year-old or whatever, you open it, it's all like lessons in algebra and family values. Instead of over here, it's people trying to convince you to be a genderqueer communist and have a sex change.
But that's always been that way in this country, in America. And the truth is that we're doing all right. We're doing all right being genderqueer, whatever you said. The point is that what they want to do is they want to basically control us. They don't even realize it. It's all about control. And
yeah, I mean, it does sort of set a precedent where they could then go and shut down other social media platforms that they decide they don't like. As you know, in Brazil, they've mooted shutting down Twitter.
Yeah. This is why I talk about the juxtaposition, because on one hand, you've got free speech. Yeah. And, you know, we're all advocates of free speech here. And the idea that you can take something like this and just close it down goes against most of our principles. However, what a great way to infiltrate us. What a great way to attack us, to use our own free speech against us.
But also a lot of the data, or the vast majority of the data that we're being told is being taken from us via TikTok and given to China, you can just buy. It's accessible, it's commercially available.
Is China making TikToks? They're not. So it's the American people. Like, you're right. Yeah. So
China's just given them the tools for self-destruction. It's like digital fentanyl.
There's no tools. If it wasn't TikTok, they'd use something else. They would use. They got the same thing on YouTube and whatever that other one is.
OK, well, we've got the Express next, and a French charity boss says that people smugglers save lives instead of put lives at risk. Do these people live in opposite world, Luke?
This is French charity boss makes outrageous claim people smugglers save hundreds of lives a day. This is in whatever newspaper this is. The Express. The Express. Of course, it's horrible to take advantage of that and take the money. This is what they're saying when people struggle. But if it were for the smugglers, we would have hundreds of deaths every year. It's like
he's basically saying that people would try and row the boats or guide the boats themselves across the channel, and the smugglers have more experience, so they can get the boats across the channel. But as we saw tragically yesterday, this isn't true, and the people smugglers, I believe the boat got stuck in a sandbank while it's trying.
Yeah, it's incredibly clumsy language, and we have to understand that this was translated. He didn't say this in English; he said this in French. So maybe there's some nuance missed. But one thing he is missing is it's the smugglers that set literally the direction of travel. Yeah. The smugglers it's in their best interest for those. His point is there's always immigrants, so at least some of these smugglers understand the dangers and they're going to help overcome them. Yeah. Maybe as some sort of risk mitigation. Of course, that's a bit of a nonsense. What they're actually saying is they're saying, come here, come here, come here, pay us, pay us, pay us, and we'll try and get you. They don't care whether they get across or not.
Exactly. He's trying to make them sound like there's some sort of, Guardian advertised consultancy helping people, holding their hand and making sure they cross safely. And they're not.
The money's
paid. They want
paid.
the money and they cram as many people onto a dangerous boat as possible.
And the French want these people to leave France.
Yeah,
they want them to leave France. But at the end of the day, they could find out when these boats are leaving, who's manning the boats. There's so much that everybody could do. Yeah. They don't want to do it.
OK, well, moving on to The Guardian, and a politician has suggested that we stop actively helping people to illegally enter our country. I assume people are furious about this, Paul.
Oh, they are, and I think it's largely because of the angle he took. Don't rescue people who scupper their channel boats, says Reform UK deputy, who, of course, is Ben Habib, often someone who appears on this channel. And he says Navy or Border Force should not save people who throw themselves into the sea if they refuse other vessels. And this is happening quite often. His actual words were, if they choose to scupper that dinghy, then yes, they have to suffer the consequences of their actions.
Because these are people crossing the channel who'd slash the boat and jettison the boat to
get safe,
to force the Navy to save them, to put the Navy in the position where they have to save them.
Now, I understand his position. Of course, I do. Immigration, and particularly this type of immigration, is a significant problem for us. But there's no way we're not going to rescue them, OK? So if someone does that, let's not forget, both us and the French are not going to allow that to happen. It would be incredibly remiss and inhumane to do so. So the reason they're doing it is they're taking advantage of our good nature once again. And I'm glad we have that good nature. There's probably people watching this show now who think I'm mad and think we should probably just let them drown in the sea. Maybe Ben Habib even thinks that. I'm not saying that he does. But I don't. I think think we have to rescue
Lewis,
them.
how do we stop people exploiting the soft belly of Britain?
You don't let them into France. You don't let them come into whatever. Something has to be done. This is, I mean, I'm not going to say they should die. No one should die. It's a horrible thing. They're not going to be let to die. But you could stop these boats, and you could just say, listen, you're not coming into this island. You're not coming onto.
So take them back to France would seem to be an acceptable thing where they get saved, but they also don't progress. So then they stop.
Yeah,
trying.
They stop coming. Also, what they could do is they could stop them beforehand. They could hang out where the guy's going around saying, anybody want to go to France? And they could find out who the guy is. And not that I believe it's one guy. This problem. Why are we even discussing this? This has been going on too long. This is as long as my first
It's still going on. OK. Well, that's the first half of the show out of the way. In the second half, we've got a school not banning the hijab, and Victoria Beckham has made fat people so angry they nearly dropped their donuts. See you in a couple of minutes.
Hi there, welcome to the GB News forecast from the Met Office. It's going to be chilly overnight. Through the next 24 hours, however, increasing cloud will bring further showers by the end of Thursday. We've got higher pressure ebbing away towards the west and this increased influence from low pressure to the east. In between, some clear spells overnight and a chilly northerly airflow. That means temperatures will fall quickly. Under any clear spells, in rural sheltered spots, temperatures will dip below freezing. Generally in urban areas 4 to 6 Celsius. And there'll be variable amounts of cloud first thing as well. There'll also be increasing amounts of showery rain moving through Northern Ireland, parts of Wales, northern and central England, as well as the northeast of Scotland. The showery rain will become more widespread by the afternoon, so for much of England and Wales it's a case of bright spells interspersed by showers. Drier towards the northwest, western Scotland mostly dry with some decent sunny spells, 12 or 13 Celsius here, 14 or 15 in the southwest, just 10 again on the North Sea coast. Friday starts off cold with a frost in many places. A sunny start, but quite quickly the cloud will build and we'll see further showers here and there, particularly towards the east. The weekend brings more unsettled weather from the south, longer spells of rain affecting many parts of England and Wales, drier for Scotland and Northern Ireland.
2024, a battleground year.
The year the nation decides.
As the parties gear up their campaigns for the next general election.
Who will be left standing when the British people make one of the biggest decisions of their lives?
Who will rise?
And who will fall?
Let's find out together.
For every moment, the highs, the lows, the twists and turns.
We'll be with you for every step of this journey.
In 2024, GB News is Britain's election channel.
We're GB News, and we come from a proud tradition of British journalism.
That's why I'm so excited to be here. It's something so new.
The first news channel to be launched in Britain in over 30 years.
Launched to represent the views of the British people.
To go where other broadcasters refuse to go.
How did you find out about the story in the first place?
Launched with one aim.
To be the fearless champion of Britain.
It's an absolutely fantastic atmosphere here.
This is GB News.
The People's Channel. GB News, Britain's news channel.
GB News is the home of free speech. We were created to champion it, and we deliver it day in, day out.
Free speech allows us all to explore and debate openly the issues most important to us, our families, and of course, the British people.
Having challenging conversations to enlighten each other.
Which is why we hear all sides of the argument.
We are the People's Channel.
We will always stand by the freedom to express yourself.
On TV, radio and online.
This is GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners, and kicking off with Thursday's Mirror. And a school in London is in trouble for defying the Iranian morality police, Paul.
Yeah, OK. So, school head teacher apologises after ban the hijab sign put up in playground for art project. Now, I'll get into this with a little bit more detail because you're probably thinking, what else is going on here? And it's an absolute nonsense, really. Richard Paul, head teacher of Greatfield School in Barking, East London, condemned the sign as ill-judged decision made by a Year 10 students. So first of all, he's chucked his own student under the bus. Richard Paul, you should be ashamed of yourself. He said the banner was tied up in the playground on the playground fence as part of an art project and did not represent the views of the school. It's art. First of all, this is an art installation, right?
Yeah.
So this is the sort of thing you may have seen at a protest. So the artist, who was in year 10, which is a 14 or 15-year-old kid, and this head teacher has thrown him under the bus straight away. What an idiot! And it was just depicted in the background of an image, and this is art. This is what it does. Art is there to shock or impress, whatever. That's what people. And if you are offended in any way by this, you should probably go to prison. But you shouldn't just go to prison. This person here, look at this. One person. The person then tagged the Metropolitan Police and the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, adding, please ensure all children are safe. Of course they're safe, you wally.
So they want the police to go around and arrest a child for doing an art project.
Why is it an art project? It's not. It doesn't look like an art project. What makes it an art project? Just because the guy said it was an art project?
Yeah, that's what art is these days. It can be anything.
It can be
it's some
anything.
sort of statement. It's like, he's making some sort of statement. It's a sign that says ban the hijab. And it's great to see so many left-wing agitators and self-appointed Stasi coming out to support an item of clothing that subjugates women.
But who says that it is an art project? Who says that it is?
They said it's an art project. It was part of an art project.
It can offend somebody, and the kid should know. He should have known this. If he's 15 years old, right? 15.
Yeah, about that.
If he's 15 and he doesn't know this, then he's in trouble. Really.
What's wrong with kids offending people? Kids are supposed to offend people, especially 15-year-olds, like hot-headed teenagers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should offend people, but not if it's going to get them killed.
It's just part of an art project, isn't it?
I think the real issue is people shouldn't kill kids. Not that this kid's been threatened, but you can't. People shouldn't go around in fear that if they offend people, they'll be killed, Lewis.
They shouldn't, but they should know better. And
that's a debate. I don't disagree with that. Yeah. But the idea that a head teacher, a grown man with two first names as a full name, Richard Paul, be ashamed of yourself, come out and just blame that, it was a mistake made by a year 10 student. Yeah. This is the thing.
He is.
Look at him. Get him. Get him. And, this is a much more serious issue because it goes back to things like Batley, doesn't it, where the teacher has had to go into hiding. So, Richard...
So that's what he's thinking about. You hit the nail on the head. He's thinking about this. He's thinking, am I going to have to be hiding for the next 3 years because of some 15-year-old kid put up a thing? He put it, listen... Basically, we're at war. There's a war going on, and people don't even know it.
OK, well, we've got the Times next, and we're staying with the art world, and it's got the sad news that nobody wants to sponsor the Turner Prize, probably because modern art is rubbish, Lewis.
Yeah, this is the art of the deal, it says. It says Turner Prize struggles to find sponsors. And this is the very famous Turner Prize, which needs £55,000 in order to give out the prizes that they said they were going to give out the prizes. Yeah. They've only collected £30,000 so far, basically it's not much. If he had put it in this, it could have been perceived as being art, but it's not. And
it was part of an art project. So I think if it's part of an art project, then you can say it's art. And the Turner Prize doesn't seem to be have any more artistic merit than
no, it doesn't.
This kid's project.
It's the 4 nominees are all ethno diverse people. I didn't know what to say. How would you say
obviously they are, Lewis. It's 2024.
They're all of them. Four to four. One represents the Sikh community. One represents black women. One was born in the Philippines, and the other guy's got a funny name. So.
It's genius. But the point of this is that this isn't go woke, go broke. This is go safe. No one wants to invest.
Yeah.
And the thing is, that's the trouble with art now, right?
Yeah.
We've got to a point where it's not. Art should be political. I have no issue with political art, and it can go fall whichever way it likes. But it only falls one way, particularly when it comes to the Turner Prize. There's no right-wing art in there. He's a year 10 student down the road.
They need to get that kid in.
They do, exactly.
Stick it on the wall.
Exactly, but it's expected to be safe. And what people don't want from art is safety.
Exactly.
Who wants safety from us? Oh, it agrees with everything I agree with. What? Imagine that. Imagine if that was your favourite band. My favourite band is Everything I Like. By Everything I Like.
So what are you saying? You're saying art shouldn't be safe. You say maybe the painting should fall off.
Well, some half can be safe, but they should just safe. But it should be for the sort of people who get offended.
Conceptually unsafe.
Yeah. I don't mean it should fall off the wall and slash someone's throat. But that's a good point.
Anyway, moving on to the Mail, and fat activists are furious with Victoria Beckham for not making clothes for fat people. It's got to be a tough job being a fat activist, Paul. If you get too active, you might stop being so fat.
I knew it was coming my way. Right, OK. Victoria Beckham's debut collection with Mango, doesn't mean anything to me, has received backlash online for lack of size inclusivity. So it only goes up to size 14, despite the retailer's main collection ranging up to 26.
Oh, which is
big, yeah. This
tent department.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, 3-man tent. So, I mean, this is high fashion, though, isn't it? This is high fashion, and it's like the models who sell them. Yeah. Of course, the buy is very nation,
sure.
Thank you very much, mate. It's exclusionary. That's what I'm trying to get to. High fashion, modelling, beauty, it's exclusionary. Victoria, if it wasn't, then Asda George would sell it. That's the point, isn't it? I don't have any issue with this.
You didn't read this because it's not exclusionary. It's prices from £50 to £300, which is high for me. But it's not that much, so she's not spending. And the truth...
I don't mean the money. I mean the size.
The size? No, you didn't mean the size.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Yeah, that's what the whole story's about.
Yeah.
About it's too expensive.
So, no, I don't mean the money. I mean, it could be expensive, and actually up to £300. You're right, it's quite inclusive. But I think high fashion is designed to fit on model-shaped people. Sorry, Lewis.
Exactly, and they've designed this stuff to look good on a certain type of person, probably the sort of person who looks a lot like Victoria Beckham. So, you know, you can't expect that to suddenly scale out to, you know, some sort of land whale.
And also, its sizes 4 to 16. 16 is quite a large size for a woman.
I thought you were going to be contrarian. I tell you what is wrong. Size 4 is wrong.
Why? What size is that?
That's like that, isn't it? That's like a pepperami.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
What is it like?
It isn't because the 4 is now there's tremendous inflation.
It's like the top of my arm.
No, it could be. I looked it up. 16 is like...
That's how you got in trouble, mate, looking up there.
2-inch
We'll
waist.
find out in the next break. Anyway, more Daily Mail now, and while Conservative voters are getting older, across the Atlantic, Trump voters are getting younger, Lewis.
Yes, Trump voters are getting younger. DailyMail.com poll reveals that 40 is the new 50 for switching from Joe Biden to former president. That's a bit complicated. Basically, it says that the people who like Trump are much younger than they were. In 2018, when he ran, they were about 2016. They were 55 years old.
Yeah, that was the average age that people tipped over from supporting Biden into supporting Trump.
Yeah, that's a complicated way of saying it. Their average age is 55, and now it's 40. So basically, Donald Trump is getting the younger votes. And they say basically because he's so much younger than Biden. He's 3 years younger than Biden.
I don't think it's got anything to do with it. Both old men, aren't they?
That was making a little...
Oh, sorry. I mean, it's got a lot more to do with the fact that Biden has spent 4 years... Biden, it's not Biden, is it? He's not in charge of anything. The Democrats have spent 4 years appealing to youth culture.
Yeah.
And, you know, 40-year-olds don't care about pronouns. They care about the economy, the cost of living, and how they can improve their life. And it doesn't matter if people can be whatever gender they want to be. Stop ramming it down our throat and just fix the economy. Yeah. That's what this is.
Although, I mean, some young people have certainly drifted away from the Democrat Party and drifted away from Biden because of his stance on Israel. He's been a staunch supporter of Israel. And that's certainly you can see it in the protests on university campuses, Lewis.
Well, we don't know. I don't know what's going on there. I think.
Well, I'll tell you what's going on. Was the young people protesting against Biden for supporting Israel?
Can I just reveal? I haven't been paying attention to that. It's just bad. It's just bad news. We're all doomed when I see that happening. I remember when I was young, and we used to protest, and we were just a bunch of idiots.
We like ban the wheel.
Yeah, ban the wheel. Bring back fire.
It's not that they don't like Biden, and Biden isn't even the president. The president is Barack Obama. and Michelle Obama. Those are the president. Those are real. Not even the real president. They're being told what to do.
Yeah.
Biden is so
Illuminati.
Somebody.
Aliens, lizard people.
I think you'd make an amazing president, Lewis. And you've played a president, haven't you?
I didn't play. I played a senator. I played a sleazy senator in a Gal Gadot film.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, amazing. Did you notice me there?
Well, we've got one last section to go. We've got the second sad horse story of the day and which foods are worst for farts. You won't want to miss that. See you in a couple of minutes.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
Mark White was saying there, Sue, that he thinks it's getting worse, and you were nodding along to that. You've seen this over decades. Situation is sprawling along the coast, more people, and the danger is ramping up.
Definitely, because the numbers and the money it's run like a military operation. I mean, I've been told that by the National Crime Agency, and I don't need to be told it by them to know it. It is meticulous, because there's so much money involved. So they're marshalling migrants here, the gangs, they're controlling the gangs, and there will be a kingpin. You know, in some city far away in Erbil, or even in Paris, or in Brussels, who never goes anywhere near the beaches. It's like a Ponzi scheme, really.
Yeah. With that in mind, there's such vested interest, such money, such demand, a never-ending string of demand of people who want to come here.
People are already on their way, remember?
Yeah.
If we stop them now, they're already leaving. There's people leaving the Sudan now are going to reach the only place they want to get to, the French beaches, to get to the UK. They'll arrive in 2.5 years' time.
And so,
you see, they're on their way.
If it's that organised, that lucrative, that desirable, how on earth do we ever break that chain?
It sounds incredibly harsh, but I'm sure, I think if the EU change politically in the June elections, which I think it probably will,
yes,
I think they will put up, as the Greeks have done, holding camps all over Europe, the coasts of Europe, where people are assessed, just to see who is coming in, which would be a plus, as the Greeks have done, because we have no idea who is coming in.
I think the most exciting bit for me is talking to people.
People who I think are ignored often by the major news channels. We're going to give news they want to hear. There's a voice there that needs to be heard. I think there's a chance here for a diversity of opinion to be expressed, which you don't find elsewhere. It's really exciting.
We don't hold back. We're free to say how decisions that are taken here
affect us all around the country. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Patrick Christie's. Every weeknight from 9, I bring you 2 hours of unmissable, explosive debate and headline-grabbing interviews. What impact has that had?
We got death threats and the bomb threat and so on.
Our job is to do what's in the best interest of our country.
You made my argument for me. My guests and I tackle the issues that really matter, with a sharp take on every story.
I'm hearing it up and down the country. That was a beginning, not an end.
Patrick Christie's tonight from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners and straight into Thursday's Telegraph with some great news for glue factories, Lewis.
Oh, what are we doing? Which one are we doing?
The one about the horses dying.
The horses dying. We missed that. When did that happen?
Do you want to...
Story 15, mate?
Story 15?
They're not sorry, not dying. Just... This is...
What, Lewis,
just read
it's live.
I got it. Okay, I've got it. I didn't know what you're talking about. Oh, right. Right, okay. I apologize. Worst show ever, right? There's nothing I can say.
You know, normally I say, no, you've done worse shows than this, but I think you might actually be right.
This is pretty bad. I'm just exhausted. I've had good news. I had really bad news like 3 days ago, and now I've got good news.
You know, you're funnier when you had the bad news.
Yeah. I'm not good with good news. Anyway, middle-class families forced to give up ponies to cover mortgage bills, and this is the same story that we had before about, like, because of bad things, people are forced to do something. The truth is, they're not forced to give up anything. Basically, it costs £6,000 a year to take care of a horse.
Yeah.
And it's gone up about £1,000.
Yeah, it's gone up 20% roughly, Paul.
Roughly.
And I was surprised to learn that it's only £6,000 a year to have a horse.
And the question is,
I know, it's quite good,
are these people
that's less than a car?
Are these people middle class by American standards, which means they have a certain amount of money, or are they middle class because they're not in the royalty? They're just slightly above poor.
No, they're the middle class by British standards, so they've got shoes and cutlery.
And they know how to use both.
Well, we don't need to use shoes or
Unless they're
cutlery. The point is that almost half of most of the homeowner, most of the horse owners have made personal sacrifices to keep their horses. What? We don't know.
Well, they've cut back on other things. So maybe they get a cheaper brand of breakfast cereal or a cheaper brand of Fabergé egg.
Yeah. All I know is this: I blame the Jews.
Okay, well, we don't do that. So,
is it not the Jews?
I'd just like to clarify for anybody watching, Lewis is Jewish.
Jewish.
Comedian. So don't take that seriously. Anyway, moving on, we've got the Daily Star now. Apparently robots are getting so smart they can tell which squares contain traffic lights, Paul.
I know. I'm not a robot. Capture questions getting harder as AI bots get smarter. So companies have to create increasingly more difficult captures as bots technology advances so it can solve security riddles. And they were saying that, under the old sort of, the traffic lights and all that sort of stuff, mountains and fire hydrants and all that nonsense, AI robots now are able to do this 100% of the time. It's no trouble to them. So they're going to come up with quirkier and quirkier things. Have you ever used any of these things, Lewis, when you get in the old Saga holiday?
Have I used the capture things? Is that what you're saying? Is that the question?
On the Interbob.
You don't have to make it seem like we're talking to each other, Paul. I don't like you. I don't like you. And you know what? It's like we started off very good, and now I'm just so tired of you. Really.
Yes, we're back in the game.
Just talking about this show. And I was interested to learn that CAPTCHA is an acronym for Completely Automated Public Turing Test to Tell Computers and Humans Apart. I just thought it was a random word.
Just a brand.
I didn't believe it when I read that. I just thought to myself, someone later on said that's what it means.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what it means. I think they just figured.
Like Adidas doesn't mean all day I dream about sport.
I love how you've come up with a conspiracy theory about this as well. Moving on, we've got the Telegraph next, where having a nice bum has health benefits. And who better to discuss this but the GB News presenter with the pertest buttocks? It's Lewis Schaefer. Get them out right now, by the way.
I'm looking good. 5 reasons it's good to have a firm and shapely bottom. 1, you got to sit on something, so you might as well be. This is one of those most ridiculous things. This is basically says that you should exercise to strengthen your bum, and because it'll bring massive benefits. But the truth is that all exercise is bad for you.
That's not true, Lewis. That's not true.
Are you looking at over there?
I'm looking away from him because you're so wrong, Leo. Is you so wrong?
Well, I can't even go to Paul and say, Paul, you can exercise.
He doesn't believe in exercise either.
GB News' very own Lizzie Webb here, I'll have you know. Look, I mean, who doesn't like shapely bottom? Which sounds like a place in the English countryside, doesn't it? Where have you been on your holidays? Shapely bottom. So, I mean, we're covering this story brilliantly. Lewis has done a great job. You know what? Who cares? I think that's right, isn't it? Of course, exercise is good for you, Lewis.
Yeah.
Why? No, it's not.
No, exercise is good for you, and also the exercise that makes your bum look good apparently improves your posture. It goes all the way up to the top of your body and makes changes where your head goes, and it's all good for you.
You could do that just by sitting up straight. Look at me, I'm sitting up straight, and it's helping me.
Okay.
But you don't have to exercise. Exercise you should not do.
No, you should. Anyway, important science news next in the Daily Mail with the facts behind farts, Paul.
Yeah, the surprising foods that cause foul-smelling flatulence. I can tell you it's largely Lewis's diet. Beef and pork?
Yeah.
Beef and pork, and they contain amino acids and methionine.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you because you always quote this stuff at me like I care. Garlic and onions chock full of compounds called fructans and fermentable carbohydrates. Lewis, the reason I keep looking at you is because this is your diet, mate, other than
And it's totally wrong. Have you ever? I have bad breath. I admit that, but I don't fart. And you don't fart. And when I was
maybe
reading
a fart
this,
out of your mouth.
I was reading this, Leo, and when I saw beef and pork, I knew, and I looked the woman
you
up.
tried to order it.
And I looked the woman up who wrote it, and her name is Cassidy Morrison, and I believe she might be. I don't want to make any claims that are wrong, but I think she's a vegan.
So you think she's
Or
a vegan? And do you think,
by the way she looked?
Yeah.
Did she not look well nourished? Did she not look energetic?
She looked overly well nourished.
Oh, I see what you mean. And
no, I actually Googled it. She wrote a very big article about this new diet, which is amazing. But it's like it has no meat in it, or relatively no, maybe no meat.
Sounds like a vegan diet.
Yeah.
And would you say a vegan diet makes you fart more than your diet?
Of course it does, because the thing it has fermentable carbohydrates. There's no such thing as a non-fermentable carbohydrate.
Right, okay. Yeah, that's the old saying.
Yeah. That makes you fart.
So avoid the fermentable carbohydrates and stick to the beef and pork.
Yeah, get it down, yeah.
Defy the Daily Mail or whatever it is.
I'm not happy with you tonight either, Lou.
Okay, well, we've got to end the show just as well. The show is nearly over, so let's take another quick look at Thursday's front pages. The Times leads with England, worst in world for underage drinking. They really mean the best. Telegraph has Starmer refuses to match Prime Minister's defence budget. The Guardian has Labour pledges to nationalise rail network within 5 years. The Metro has Prime Minister, we fly in July. That's the Rwanda flight scheduled to take off. The iNews has revealed Labour's plans to nationalise railways. And finally, the Daily Star has greasy fry-ups will turn us into zombies, although Lewis Schaefer disagrees. And those were your front pages, and that's all we have time for. Thank you to my guests, Lewis Schaefer and Paul Cox. Andrew Doyle will be here tomorrow at 11 p.m. with Josh Howie and Nick Dixon. And if you're watching at 5 a.m, stay tuned for breakfast. Bye.
Thank you.
A brighter outlook with Box Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hi there, and welcome to the GB News forecast from the Met Office. It's going to be chilly overnight. Through the next 24 hours, however, increasing cloud will bring further showers by the end of Thursday. We've got higher pressure ebbing away towards the west, and this increased influence from low pressure to the east. In between, some clear spells overnight and a chilly northerly airflow. That means temperatures will fall quickly. Under any clear spells, in rural sheltered spots, temperatures will dip below freezing. Generally in urban areas 4 to 6 Celsius. And there'll be variable amounts of cloud first thing as well. There'll also be increasing amounts of showery rain moving through Northern Ireland, parts of Wales, northern and central England, as well as the northeast of Scotland. The showery rain will become more widespread by the afternoon, so for much of England and Wales it's a case of bright spells interspersed by showers. Drier towards the northwest, western Scotland mostly dry with some decent sunny spells, 12 or 13 Celsius here, 14 or 15 in the southwest, just 10 again on the North Sea coast. Friday starts off cold with a frost in many places. A sunny start, but quite quickly the cloud will build and we'll see further showers here and there, particularly towards the east. The weekend brings more unsettled weather from the south, longer spells of rain affecting many parts of England and Wales, drier for Scotland and Northern Ireland.
Looks like things are heating up. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you could win our biggest prize yet. There's an incredible £10,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. Plus, courtesy of Variety Cruises, a bespoke 7-night small boat cruise for two worth £10,000. With flights, meals, excursions and drinks included, your next holiday could be on us. Choose any one of their 2025 Greek adventures and find your home at sea. We'll also send you packing with these luxury travel gifts. Hurry, as lines close on Friday. For another chance to win a prize worth over £20,000, text WIN to 63232. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. Or post your name and number to GB04 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 5 p.m. on Friday. Full terms and privacy notice at gbnews.com/win. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
2024, a battleground year.
The year the nation decides.
As the parties gear up their campaigns for the next general election.
Who will be left standing when the British people make one of the biggest decisions of their lives?
Who will rise?
And who will fall?
Let's find out together.
For every moment, the highs, the lows, the twists and turns.
We'll be with you for every step of this journey.
In 2024, GB News is Britain's election channel.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'd much rather hear what you have to say. So, send in your opinions to gbviews@gbnews.com. Keep them clean, and you never know, I might read them out. With my panel here on Jubes & Co, we debate, we get stuck into the issues of the day on a show where all views are welcome, especially yours. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking, this is the nightmare for the Conservatives again. Down to earth. It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it? And most importantly, honest. Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get the book thrown at them. They catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope.
And I'm Gloria Di Piero, bringing you
PMQ's live here on GB News.
Whenever Parliament is in session on a Wednesday at midday, we'll bring you live coverage of Prime Minister's questions. We'll be asking our viewers and listeners to submit the questions that they would like to put to the Prime Minister, and we'll put that to our panel of top politicians in our Westminster studio.
That's PMQ's live here on GB News, Britain's election channel.
I'm Martin Daubney. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good evening. It's happened again. Nick Robinson, from his lofty, comfortable perch at the BBC, is attacking GB News again. We debate tonight, is GB News biased? Is GB News impartial? Does GB News fit with the law of providing due impartiality? I have a feeling, actually, the traditional broadcasting industry are beginning to get rather scared of this channel. We'll talk defence spending. The Prime Minister says we're going onto a war footing. We will increase spending by 2030. But